Hello, I'm John Feldt. Welcome to the weekly water outlook for the South on February 2nd, 2014. Let's start off today's briefing by looking at past precipitation. You can see that precipitation was fairly light over the South over the last week, but that certainly didn't mean there weren't some problems, especially over the southeast U.S. As you know, a lot of problems due to even light amounts of frozen and freezing precipitation. If we look at the percent of normal, you can see that the percent of normal was below normal. And if we go past the past 30 days, I wanted to show you that the amount of precipitation was below normal as well. So it's been fairly dry over the South, including Oklahoma, large parts of Texas, over the last 30 days. So hopefully we'll start picking up some precipitation over these regions. Now, as far as temperatures go, this is the average January temperature departure from normal. And you can see across the state of Oklahoma and Kansas, we're generally looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 degrees below normal. In Texas, about the same, but a little bit more variability. You can see that area in yellow there. But really the core of the colder temperatures have been off to the east. You can see the area blue and purple off to the east, and that's been the real cold air associated with that polar vortex. Now, if we get more recent, the last 7 days, been a bit colder. You look at some of these pockets of blue and purple, and that's indicating more in the 10 to 15 degree below normal range. So last week was a cold week over most of the South. As far as snowfall goes, there was some scattering of light snow over the region. It looks like the heaviest snow was in parts of Kansas. That area in yellow is 4 inches or more. But over Oklahoma, it looks like it was mainly in the 1 to 3 inch range, a few spots maybe a tad higher, and just a few very light amounts of snow over East Texas. If we look at what's on the ground, we can still see that there is some light snow. That area shaded in white or light gray over the northwest part of Oklahoma. That's only an inch or so. Same thing about the Texas Panhandle. Elsewhere, no snows on the ground. If we get up into Kansas, we see a more significant snow over North Kansas, that medium shade of blue. Now here's the soil moisture profile. It looks like the driest soils are over West Texas and West Oklahoma, but Oklahoma is trending dry. You can see some more pockets of yellow here. That's reflecting those deficits of rainfall over the last 30 days. More variability in Texas, some pockets still a little bit above normal with wetter soils over east central Texas. But we do, generally speaking, need some winter recharge over most of the region. So here's a jet stream this week. A couple things I want to point out. First of all, it's a sloppier type pattern. We have systems coming in from the west. Each one of these little areas here is a pocket of atmospheric energy. So here's one, and here's one. And they're going to be coming in from the southwest and rotating up towards the northeast U.S. So it's going to be an active week because we have systems lined up for the next 10 days. Also, they're coming in far enough south that they'll be picking up some of that Pacific moisture, and that could also be enhancing overall precipitation amounts. Now, I have 2 teleconnections I want to talk about, and I'm not going to be able to talk about this in a lot of detail due to time constraints. First one's the North Atlantic Oscillation, very similar to the Arctic Oscillation. As you most likely know by now, when it's negative means it's colder over the eastern U.S., and when it's positive, it's warmer. We've been in this negative regime for quite some time through January, most of the month, and it looks like now we're going back up towards neutral and maybe even positive later in next week, week after this week. And that generally will expand warmer temperatures. In this case, I don't think it's really going to do that. I think what it's going to do is tighten up temperature gradients, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Now here's the Pacific North American Oscillation, a different one. I haven't talked about this in the past. But I did want to show you that it's radically changing from a positive phase that it's occurred all through January to a negative phase. And again, that's showing to me that you're going to have warm air over the southeast U.S., colder over the north central U.S., and it's going to have a boundary. And it's where that boundary sets up, and I think it's going to be more over the south and the southeast U.S., is where we're going to have a clash of cold and warm air and active weather. So right now, the takeaway from these oscillations is that we're changing phases, and that does mean a more active period. Matter of fact, this week it looks like 3 storm systems, 1, 2, and 3, green first, blue second, yellow third, and each one of these is going to bring active weather to the southeast U.S. It's going to brush our region here in the south, but by far the more active weather is going to be off to the east. And you can see that in this precipitation image right here. This is total precipitation, and you can see it's just to our east across Louisiana and Arkansas, and then states off to the east. Some moderate precipitation in our region, and that could be cold enough for snow. And you can see there is the possibility in Oklahoma and North Texas of some freezing or frozen precipitation with these systems as they go through. Now I'm going to show you a couple animations here. I'm going to show you an animation of precipitation and an animation of snowfall, and you can see where that overlap is expected to occur. Let's take a look at a progression of these three systems. Keep in mind that the green is light amounts of precipitation, yellow is moderate, and red is heavy. So I think you're going to see quite clearly the overlap of these systems. So here's the first system here, right there. Here's the second, and here's the third. And you can see by the time this is over, we have a very significant overlap over parts of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and then a secondary band over parts of Georgia as well, North Georgia. Now, I thought I'd run through an animation of the three systems now as far as snowfall goes. Gray is light snow, blue shades are moderate snow, and then the pinks are the more significant snow. So let's start out. This is the one that's coming in first, this current weekend into early this week. And then as we go through a little bit further, so there's the track of the snow for the first system. Here's the second one coming through. This is in the middle of this week, Tuesday through Thursday. And this isn't quite as heavy as it has been forecast in the past. There's not as much heavy snow, so we'll have to see if the models stick with this. This is late Wednesday into early Thursday, and it looks like instead of in the 6 to 8 inch range, there's some pockets in Kansas and Missouri, but it looks like a little bit less as we go through Iowa into Illinois. And then this is sort of interesting. There's another one coming in a week from now. This is the following weekend. This would be starting on Saturday and then going into Monday. And here's the third one. And this one's actually quite a bit heavier forecast by the models right now. This goes into Monday, a week from this Monday, and you can see a widespread heavy snow there in the pinks and red. But again, this is way out there. This is likely to change, but it does show that there will be 3 tracks of snow over the next 10 days. Okay, so here's your hazards this week outlook. You can see that we have an area of possibility of freezing rain, and that's that area outlined in pink, as well as an area of below normal temperatures, the outline in blue, and then also an area of some heavier snow outlined in that green. So right now it looks like it's going to be fairly active throughout the week with a variety of temperature and precipitation weather hazards. So let's look at week 2 and 3. This is week 2. Looks like week 2 will start out possibly active with that third system moving through, then it'll quiet down, but it still looks like it's going to be averaging below normal temperatures. And then precipitation, week 2, February 9th through 15th, looks like it's going to be a quiet week. Looks like very little precipitation once that third system moves through. Then we get into the period 15th through the 21st. Okay, let's take a look at this. Remember I told you about how the temperature is going to be tightening up. Here's your warm air in red, here's your cold air, very tight pattern. Looks like the south is going to be right on the edge of that, and that might mean that northern sections of Oklahoma will be on the cold side, that southern parts of Texas will be on the warm side. As far as precipitation goes, it still looks fairly quiet. It looks like the action will be again to our east. So the takeaway: chance of snowfall and freezing rain this week. Mainly Oklahoma and North Texas. 3 systems, mainly to our east, otherwise quiet, but trending cold. Thanks for listening to this week's Outlook. I'll be getting my newsletter out tomorrow. Take care, and I'll be talking with you again next week.